we had recently talked about how much I hated Aaron Sorkin. And so it just so happens that on Twitter the other day, I wake up to a tweet thread by the Sunday Times Culture on Aaron Sorkin. And there was something in this tweet thread that was one of the most stupid things I've ever read coming from Aaron Sorkin's mouth that I had to share it because of how just like it broke my brain. And this really is like Aaron Sorkin is like the personification of like the liberal mind. And so strong liberal vibes are going to come out of this. So I warn you, if like liberals on social media or the internet or the universe generally really bother you, but here it comes. So I guess what we're getting from Aaron Sorkin is a new movie on I Love Lucy. So I'm guessing it's not going to be I Love Lucy. It's going to be like the real actor. Like it's going to be a story on Lucille Ball as a human being, right? And I think Nicole Kidman is playing her, and I think it's Javier Bardem is playing uh, Ricardo. Can't remember the characters' names now. Was the husband
I
Ricardo?
I don't know to what you refer.
You don't know I Love Lucy? No, listen, this goes beyond my time period as like a human being. Like this, we're talking like the 50s, 60s when this show was out. It's just yeah, Ricky Ricardo. Okay, yeah. So this is like a touchstone of just like I don't know. It was a show in the 50s and 60s, okay?
Sure.
So Aaron Sorkin is the one directing this thing and writing it. So it goes this is what the tweet starts off with. It goes, "You expect comedy in Aaron Sorkin's new film on America's sitcom queen Lucille Ball, but not fables about communism and cancel culture." So,
What?
so it's about Lucille Ball and about America's favorite sitcom, but we're also getting that it has to do with communism and cancel culture. Okay,
Of course it does.
there has been consternation about the casting of Bardem, a Spaniard, in the role of Desi, a Cuban.
Oh.
Sorkin remains angry that his choice has been questioned. It's heartbreaking and a little chilling to see members of the artistic community resegregating ourselves, he says. So, I mean, like, it's amazing to me because my guess is the criticism here of the casting isn't about like a resegregation type idea, but more like there's probably plenty of good like Cuban actors who could have played that role, and yet you gave it to someone who isn't Cuban. Why, right? My guess is that's more of the thinking.
Yeah, and Spain and Cuba don't have any like bad blood between them. No bad histories there.
Right.
Everything Spain did in Cuba was yeah, yeah.
Or even in the context, because we're going to talk about communism in a second, because there's going to be parts of this that communism fits more into this than you would think, more so than the cancel culture bullshit. But you could
Mhm.
tell here that like Aaron Sorkin, like how they're trying to cancel me because I casted Javier Bardem instead of a Cuban, and it's like I don't know, maybe Cubans are treated different. Like there's a history there, not only between as you said between Spain and Cuba, but between like America and Cuba, such that like maybe you should allow Cubans who are in in America to have the ability to play those roles. Anyways, it goes on. So this is quote. So I'm thinking it's still quoting Sorkin here. It goes, "You can act being attracted to someone, but can't act gay or straight. So this notion that only gay actors should play gay characters, that only a Cuban actor should play Desi, honestly, I think it's the mother of all empty gestures and a bad idea."
Those two things are not the same.
Yes, it is not the same, but it's also like I don't know. Again, it's the same thing of like if you're not hiring gay people because they're gay, then that's a problem, and maybe we should find some way to like remove that stigma by at least getting them to play their own representation in films. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like at the end of the day, that to me is not like resegregation because you're also like, I guess the difference would be these kind of performances and representation. It's different than say like working in like a warehouse where it's like, well, I'm trying to like there isn't a way to have like an analogy here, but it's like no one is saying that we need like a perfect like completely equal across the board. Like we need 10% Nigerian, 10% Cuban, like all working in this warehouse or something like this. But here it's like if you're going to have a Cuban character, maybe have a Cuban person to portray it. Like I don't that doesn't bother me. Like I don't know why it bothers a lot of people, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Or that it bothers liberals that people at least suggest that maybe that should happen. So it goes on. He is fascinated by I Love Lucy and the issues it raises, such as whether actors can voice opinions. Lucille checked a box, backing communism, at a time when it wasn't a big deal. 16 years later, the world changed, and she's hung for it. That reminds you of Twitter.
Sorry, does Lucy from I Love Lucy get hung in the TV show?
No, what he's being metaphorical here with his language. But she was taken to the un-American hearings because she checked a box
Okay.
saying she was a communist before. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
so
So like
that
the actress.
correct.
It didn't happen in the show
No,
because that would have been much funnier.
that would be amazing if it happened on the show.
Yeah.
But of course that wouldn't have happened. But the fact is, he's talking about the House of Un-Americans committee or whatever the hell it was called. He's comparing that to Twitter. To Twitter.
Mhm.
As if like, people going, "Hey Aaron Sorkin, you and your movies suck" on Twitter is the equivalent to like merely because you had a membership for the Communist Party prior to the 1950s that somehow that made you a traitor to the state and you had to like go in front of Congress to like prove your bona fides and then got blacklisted from like acting because of it. Like those things are like they're equivalent apparently. I fucking hate liberals. Like cancel culture is like rotting their brains. It's utterly rotting their brains.
Yeah. It just sucks.
And it shouldn't, it should be very obvious. And what it is too is it's like it should be so obvious that there's a difference between having a kind of like top-down pressure of a state sanctioning of like capturing people and like imprisoning them against their will or making them to speak in front of Congress and like forcing that should be an obvious bad, and that's different than say masses of people criticizing other people for being shitty people. If anything, it's like what's the difference between Twitter and the town square other than the fact that like or even like I mean they're sort of the same just in the sense that like people can shout at you in the town square too. Like nothing is stopping me from running up to Aaron Sorkin and going, "You suck." And
I wish we had more of that.
yeah.
That's what we need more of, is like the in-person yelling at so that they'll stop complaining about Twitter.
Yeah. Well but then they complained about that shit too. Like what did we get from Jonathan Haidt the other day was like the big issue, right? The right wing might storm the Capitol building, but the left wing will interrupt Sarah Huckabee Sanders eating a meal at a restaurant. So both of these things are the same in their heft and weight. There's extremes on both sides.
See, but the thing is, that Sarah Huckabee Sanders thing happened, what was it, like 2017? And
Yes.
they're still like genuinely frightened by it to the point where they remember it. And that's why we need to do it more.
Yeah. Oh my god, I was kind of on board till the last sentence. Yeah, that last sentence just hits. It's such a shallow lib understanding of idpol. It unfortunately energizes the intersectional left. Yep. Well, it's funny that like again the anti-intersectional left likes to pretend like they're anti-liberal. But look at like the liberals are the ones who utilize this, I think, more, because it's like it's just those extreme leftists who are mean to us all the time when we need to bring back civility where we can all get along. Which is why it's like, no, like the cancel culture thing, the right take is to just say that it's bullshit. There is no such thing as cancel culture. It's not coming for you. Cancel culture is just a large amount of people who have an opinion, and they're allowed to have that opinion. They're allowed to. And let's be real, most of the time that they're right. I think most of the people who have yelled about J.K. Rowling have been right about J.K. Rowling. There you have it. Controversial take, I know.
Brave stance.
So, okay. It says, Mr. Sorkin, the pilot scene is cringe. You must name 500 cringe directors or you will be detained. Where is Sarah right now? No, she was taken out by the restaurant protest. That's why we never see her again, ever again. So, Grimpy mentioned the pilot scene. And good news, because I had it teed up and ready to go. Do I need to share it with you, or are you going to watch it on the stream?
Um, maybe share it just because like the cameras cover quite a bit.
All right, let's do this.
Don't want to miss any of the details, you know?
Now, I waited to the end to do this anyways because this will likely, if I post it on YouTube, will get copyrighted. So I'll post it now and then, or play it now, and I might have to cut it when it goes to YouTube, but that's okay. Is it shared with you?
Yep.
Okay. So Vienna was telling me maybe they have seen this, but at least I don't think they remembered. But we will. I gotta skip
I thought
ahead
that
of it.
was Andy Samberg at first,
Yeah.
at the very beginning.
It's not, but it does make me sad that I realized that I can't remember the name of this guy. He's the chief of police from Stranger Things. This guy right here.
Oh.
I know he's Jim Hopper in Stranger Things. I can't remember for the life of me what his name is in real life. But that's him. So I guess I should say the lead up of this entire show is that these doofuses here, and there's like some of the other doofuses sitting next to them, they all work for the news, generally speaking, the news, and they have become aware that Osama bin Laden has been killed. Okay? So they know this, but the story hasn't broken yet. I guess the president is about to make a speech, and this is sort of like the lead up, or like, so the build up, people start hearing that the president is going to make a speech on this plane, and this is sort of when this scene starts. They're also bickering about like they're dating. He's interested in someone, blah blah blah. So there might be a bit of that at the beginning, but then it gets to the part we care about. So we could just ignore that shit.
Me.
David Harbour is
I got
his
a text
name.
message saying.
Oh, here we go.
President
Perfect
speaking
cut.
Tonight in a few minutes. Do you know anything about this?
The internet says he's speaking on a matter of grave national security.
Yeah, I've got the same thing.
I've got a flight that's been canceled. Does that have anything to do with what you're talking
Has
about?
there been a terrorist attack?
Well, this is so
Wait,
good.
There's been a terrorist attack?
No, there hasn't.
I've got an email saying we're at war with Libya.
Nope.
You guys know what's going on, don't you?
Folks, there hasn't been a terrorist attack. None of your friends and family are in danger. The president.
So I want to pause it here because you're already sighing. All because isn't this ridiculous that somehow a journalist wants to stand up in the middle of an airplane and try to like calm everyone? Don't worry, everyone. I'm a news journalist.
Sorry, what year was this again?
This happened right around when Osama bin Laden was killed. So it was sometime in Obama's presidency.
His second presidency? I'm trying to remember when that dude died. 2011. Okay, so that makes sense with
So I
Libya.
think this would have been like 12, 13 when this came out.
Okay. Like,
I think.
the thing to me is like the phone thing in this time period, but also just like that everybody's like, whoa, I am looking at the news on my phone since we landed. And I care so much that the president is speaking that I'm looking on the phone in 2011 when data plans are like your soul for 30 megabytes. And they're just like, wow, like, fuck off. Nobody gives a shit about that. And nobody like starts talking about like, oh wow, the president's gonna give a speech. Like,
Yeah, right.
fuck off. That's the part that I was like making
It's-
noises about.
Yeah, especially like such that you would disturb the other passengers on an airplane. Like, did you hear? Did you hear the news?
Did you hear the news? The president's gonna give a speech.
Like in speaking speaking of like, the funny thing is this has only happened to me like once in real life. And that was actually the day that Jack Layton died, where I was camping the moment that happened. And the rangers at the campsite went around telling everyone that he had passed away. Which, like, I don't know why, like, I've been camping when other big news stories have dropped, but that was the one, I guess, like, Jack Layton had such an impact on Canadians that this park ranger felt like he should inform us all that he has passed away.
The park ranger was hoping that the campers would form a militia to march on the Capitol in Jack Layton's honor.
No, I do not have an NDP bumper stickers to car, but they didn't just do it to us. They went to, like, from site to site, told everyone. Where was I camping? It was at Restoule Provincial Park, which is like an hour south of North Bay. And it's a lovely campground. We go there all the time. I love it there. Just a random thing that happened. I don't know. But we will continue. This journalist has decided they stood up and they're going to inform everyone to not worry. It wasn't a terrorist attack. So
We'll be speaking in just a few minutes.
No.
Listen, they're just nervous
I don't
because
care. You do not take over control of the cabin.
they're getting emails and going online and seeing.
You do not take over control of the cabin, ever. Now
Ma'am,
sit down
No,
and...
you know,
I'm getting the captain.
yeah, get the captain, because I'd like to have a word with him. The seatbelt while we're standing still is one thing, but how paranoid do you have to be to think that I'm declaring myself in charge of the...
Is there a problem, sir?
Yeah, I was just asking how paranoid you have to be.
Sir?
oh my
What?
God. Just wait.
Sir?
The fucking music.
What?
Oh my God, it's so good.
Captain, my name is Don Kiefer. That's Elliot Hirsch.
Sutherland?
And that's Sloan Sabbath. We work for Atlanta's Cable News. And we wanted you and your first officer and flight attendant, Crazy Lady, to be the first ones on this plane to know that our armed forces killed Osama bin Laden for you tonight.
You're serious?
Yes, sir.
God damn it.
What?
The handshake. Just wait, the final line.
No, there's more.
We reported the news.
We reported the news. Now, listen. Part of me wants to say there's elements of this that are like, it feels like it's supposed to be comedic almost. Especially when he refers to her in the middle, like the soaring music starts playing and all of that, and he refers to like the other woman as like. And here's the other thing: is Aaron Sorkin is a huge fucking sexist. Like his digs at women throughout like his whole like West Wing era and all that. He's terrible for women. But like even this line in like it's supposed to be this really like beautiful moment in their eyes. And he makes this dig at the fucking
And we wanted
flight
you
attendant.
and your first officer and flight attendant, Crazy Lady.
Flight attendant, Crazy Lady. How does that make? How does that like uplift in this moment of like sincerity? Like, I can't believe this was actually made. And then the handshake too. Hell yeah. Like the fact I don't know. can that be sincere, or is this like some like large troll by Sorkin? That fucking handshake. We did it. We're the pilots of this airplane. And yet we really needed to know that Osama bin Laden was killed because it matters to us, pilots of this airplane. Oh, they hug later? I think they hug the flight attendant crazy lady. Oh, yeah, I see. They're hugging flight attendant crazy lady. Because men don't hug. We reported the news.
This fucking sucks. I hate this.
Like,
You're gonna make me do Christmas stuff after seeing this?
Listen, that's our patriotic duty, all right? We reported the news. Aaron Sorkin is terrible. That is that is the message you have to get. And it's frustrating because he's held to such high regard. Like, he constantly gets nominated for like best writing, best directing. His movie, like Chicago 7 was nominated for best picture, I think. Like, he keeps getting these accolades when he's like not a good writer. It's I don't like what do you describe this as? This is just like cringe. It's like liberal cringe is what he produces. And like all the rich people who vote in like any award shows are just like, put that liberal cringe right into my veins, you know? I need it. I would rather do Christmas things.
Yeah, no, like Nom's right. Nom's right. This is the fucking worst thing that I've seen. This is the first Aaron Sorkin thing that I have seen ever. And it really does make me want to die.
Yeah.
Like,
I got first introduced to Sorkin through my mom watching West Wing when I was growing up. She fucking loved that show. And I always hated it. But it wasn't till like I came back to it later, having like, because like I feel like when West Wing was on, I was like just out of high school or in high school. So it's like I had some political savvy, but like not enough to like listen to clips of Aaron Sorkin's West Wing and go, this sucks really bad, you know? But I never liked it back then, but having gone back to it and watching a few clips, it's terrible. It is terrible. I don't watch that stuff, so that would explain why I don't recall the name, let alone don't know this scene. So this is from the Newsroom, which also was critically acclaimed. A lot of people loved it, but A Few Good Men. I have not seen A Few Good Men, but my guess is if you go back and watch it, though, it's gonna have patriotism up the arsehole. Is my guess. Damn, way to insult Bernie Sanders' favorite show, The West Wing. Are you serious? I hope that's a joke. That can't be his favorite show. That cannot be.
West Wing and Wings on at the same time?
No, Wings predates West Wing by a long.
Okay.
Maybe not a long time, but like 5-6 years, maybe.
It's like it said 1990 to 1997, where West Wing was 99 to 2006. Okay.
Okay. No, I thought, yeah, because I knew that West Wing was on during the September 11th thing, because they did a really, I remember they did a really cheesy thing for September 11th. They had, because part of the interesting things, it's supposed to be like a parallel universe in the sense of like it takes place in modern day, or modern day to when the show was produced, but it's like a president who wasn't George Bush, right? It was like President Bartlett or whatever the hell his name was. And so when September 11th happens, that put the show in a predicament, which was like, we're doing it about this like fake president, like an alternative universe, but in the same time, but like this real world thing happened that like presidents and all these people are addressing in real life. So they did an episode of The West Wing where like it really did happen as like almost like it was a dream show or something like that. It's just so they could talk about September 11th, and then like the next week it was like September 11th never even happened. Also that they could have an entire episode where they did shit like this. It's like we all have to come together, and you know, the patriotism just soars and the music swells and we all have feelings. So, Aaron Sorkin. My guess is this Lucille Ball film is going to do well for a certain demographic of people and do not so well for me. I'm guessing. And it's also like, this is the thing that bugged me about the last point that I want to make on this, which is that this is the thing that bugged me about the Chicago 7, which was that was a left-wing story. You know, it had to do with left-wing people engaged in left-wing style actions and with a left-wing viewpoint. And yet liberal Aaron Sorkin, took these left-wing people and watered down their story in the most frustrating and liberal way to do it. Okay? Where you had characters who are pro-violence, who are okay with dismantling the state and being agitators, and he put words in their mouth in that movie to basically go, what we need is democracy and for us to all hold hands and get along with conservatives, which is something that they would have never have said, and he put it in their mouths, okay? So I don't know what's going to go on with this Lucille film, but if it's surrounding the fact that she was a member of the Communist Party, and my guess is that type of information should not be, or that type of story, much like it's not good to have a Spaniard play a Cuban or a non-gay person play a gay character, maybe we shouldn't have liberals making leftist movies, okay? Maybe we need leftist writers and directors making leftist films and not have Aaron Sorkin tell our stories. You know, that's what I want to say to that.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.